It's a mindset. You could feel deprived even if you have money. If you don't have, your disputes are not resolved, you are treated, you look at many parts of the world. You look at Palestine, how the people there have been going through challenges year after year. There are other parts of the world where issues are just floundering. Nobody's looking at them.
So
you look at Africa today.
What have you done about it in Pakistan? You know, I mean, Pakistan is one of the countries on the short list in terms of where terrorism is most prevalent. So what actions have you taken over the years?
Yeah, I think you must understand why Pakistan got into this situation. When I was growing up in Pakistan, we never heard of this word, terrorism. Of course, the Afghan situation, what happened after the Soviet invasion in Afghanistan, the world rightly decided to oppose it. And then people were recruited from all over the world to fight the armies which were coming in. They fought, they liberated Afghanistan. But then I think Afghanistan was sort of abandoned by the world. So when you enter a conflict, when you enter an area of lots of challenges, there must be a coherent exit strategy also. We got the initial objective achieved, that the Soviets were left and Afghanistan was left as an independent country, but nobody helped them. So they were left hanging high and dry. There should have been a comprehensive economic plan, a comprehensive development plan, something to occupy the youth with opportunity, build new projects, build various commercial and industrial enterprises. Everybody ran away. And Pakistan, being a neighbor of Afghanistan, had to be engaged because we have a common border. Otherwise, the world's attention changed to other issues. And this is what you see repeatedly happening, that we enter a conflict with no exit strategy, and when we think we've solved the problem, we move on to the next problem. What the lesson to be learned here is, when we go in, we must settle what has to be settled and then create a long-term program for the country to return to a normal life. That did not happen, and we are paying the price for that.
Here's Dagen McDowell. Go ahead, Dagen.
Prime Minister, you said that terrorism is a hearts and minds issue, an existential threat. In terms of changing those hearts and minds, doesn't that responsibility fall most to the Muslim world and the Muslim community?
I don't think it's a religious issue, ma'am. I would say, you know, this notion that terrorism is linked only to Islam is a flawed notion in my humble view. You look at many other parts of the world, in Latin America, in Europe, we've had people who were not Muslims, and they were involved in extremism and terrorism. Because if you go back to the whole concept of deprivation, it transcends religions, it transcends faiths. So do not make the mistake that Islam is the cause of terrorism. In fact, Islam is a faith which propagates peace. There are issues like Afghanistan, like in the Middle East, where states are collapsing, where major issues have been floundering for years. Nobody has really taken any action to solve them. And that's why you create in a society a feeling of hopelessness.
But the Islamic State is radical Islamic terrorism, isn't it? The Islamic State is that very thing, radical Islamic terrorism.
Yeah, but I mean, I think don't go on just names, ma'am. Get to the root causes. The Red Brigade in Germany was not Islamic. Look what they did. There are many other examples I can give you.
I don't think you're suggesting the Muslim community needs to help with all of those, but specifically with radical Islamic terrorism.
Since we were talking about Afghanistan and Pakistan, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
So
I mean, today the problems are there. Tomorrow it could be some.
Has the Muslim community done enough then? Yeah.
Not at all. The Muslim community has a lot of challenges, but this is a challenge to be handled by the state in every situation, not the clergy. So if there is a Muslim country like Afghanistan and partly in Pakistan, the state is handling it. It's not an issue which you leave to the clergy and say, please solve it. So the approach has to be from a state-to-state basis. And it's a security issue, it's a hearts and minds issue, it's a leadership issue. All that is coming together. So if we just say that, look, every Muslim is a potential terrorist, so treat them accordingly when they land at our airports, that's not the way to solve terrorism. The way to solve terrorism is understand the root causes in each situation, try to address them, help those countries get over the challenges they face, and then ensure good governance, democracy, and other things which will get people feeling better about their future. This is really what the core of the problem is.
Yeah, Mr. Prime Minister, and we should point out that you survived a terrorist attack yourself before becoming Prime Minister in 2004.
I did.
How would you characterize the U.S.'s handling of all of this and the foreign policy coming out of the U.S.? We're about to speak with Chuck Hagel, former Defense Secretary, who, of course, has been opinionated in his own right. But from your standpoint and part of the world, has the U.S. Been effective?
I think, first of all, let's say, first of all, let me give you a generic answer, and then I'll come to the U.S. The way to tackle terrorism is, first of all, you need strong leadership. Two, you need a clear strategy to deal with it. It has to be multifaceted: geopolitical, economic, security. All three have to be done in tandem, and give people a voice. Once you do that, you will see progress. I think the U.S., because of 9/11, I understand why they reacted and acted in the way they did. That was a terrible day, 9/11, what happened, and that really triggered the U.S. response and changed the whole paradigm. And U.S. then sent in troops everywhere. U.S. sent in other things. But even if you take countries like Afghanistan, the amount of military intervention, or the amount spent on military intervention, was huge, and that helped contain the issue. There's no question about it. But again, what next? The economic side, investments, infrastructure building, creation of jobs, giving people opportunity, giving people a reason to live a normal life. There we have to do more, and I think that is a collective failure of the whole world, not just in Afghanistan, in many other areas, where we are just focusing on settling the military part of it and not focusing on the rest. And till we take a holistic view of this, I'm afraid we will have ups and downs in this issue.
Mr. Prime Minister, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, ma'am. Thank you.
Prime Minister Aziz there.